Hey there, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Rachel Joy Olson, and I'm so glad that you're here today. Today, we're talking about something that sounds simple, but can actually be really powerful when we practice it with more awareness. And that is how to set intentions that actually stick, not just intentions that sound beautiful in January and disappear by February. Not just goals that make us feel inspired for a moment and then get buried under real life. I mean intentions that become part of how you move through your day, how you make choices, and how you show up for yourself and your life. Because intentions are not just something we set at the beginning of a yoga class or at the start of a new month or when we're feeling especially motivated. Intentions are a way of orientating ourselves. They help us remember what matters and what matters on the mat just as much as it does off the mat. So in today's episode, I want to talk about what intentions really are, why they often fade, how to make them more meaningful, and how the simple truth that what we focus on grows can actually help shape a life that feels more grounded, more aligned, and more intentional. Let's begin here because intentions can sometimes get confused with goals. A goal is usually about an outcome. It has a finish line. It's something you want to accomplish. An intention is different. An intention is more about how you want to be. It's the quality you want to bring into an experience. It's the energy you want to lead with. It's the lens you want to look through. So for example, a goal might be to practice yoga 3 times a week. An intention might be to move with presence or to create space for rest or to listen to the body more deeply. A goal might be to get through a busy season. An intention might be to stay grounded, compassionate, or steady while doing it. Intentions are less about controlling the outcome and more about choosing your direction. And I think that's one of the reasons they're so beautiful because life can be unpredictable. Things can change. Plans can shift. But an intention gives you something to return to. It's a quiet reminder of who you want to be in the middle of it all. Now let's bring this into the yoga space. One of the things I love about yoga is that it gives us a chance to practice intention in a very embodied way. When you step onto your mat, you're not just moving through shapes, you're arriving. You're pausing, you're noticing, you're choosing. Maybe you begin a class by setting an intention to breathe more deeply, or to be kinder to yourself, or to release comparison, or to simply stay present. That intention becomes like a thread woven through your practice. It doesn't mean every posture suddenly feels easy. It doesn't mean your mind stops wandering. It doesn't mean you won't get distracted or frustrated or tired. But it does give you a point of return. You can come back to it when your mind starts to drift. You can come back to it when the pose feels hard. You can come back to it when you want to give up or to push too hard. And that's really the gift of intentions on the mat. They remind you that yoga is not just about how far you can stretch or how strong you can look or what fancy pose you can get into. It's about how you show up. It's about the relationship you build with yourself in the process. And in that sense, the mat becomes a place to practice for life, which is truly what yoga actually is. Because the truth is, the same thing applies off the mat. The way you do one thing is often the way you do many things. So if you practice arriving on your mat with presence, you may begin to bring more presence to the rest of your life. If you practice self-compassion on your mat, you may start speaking to yourself more gently in the kitchen, in the car, at your desk, or in the middle of a hard conversation. If you practice slowing down in class, you may start noticing where else you need to slow down in your day. That's why intentions matter so much. They shape your attention. And what you pay attention to grows. If you keep focusing on what's wrong, what's missing, what's behind, or what you haven't done yet, that's what tends to take up more and more space in your mind. If you choose to focus on gratitude, steadiness, patience, or breath, those things begin to grow too. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your attention becomes more intentional. And your attention is powerful. It shapes your experience more than most people realize. So why do intentions that we set sometimes fade so quickly? Usually it's not because we're doing it wrong. It's because the intention was too vague, too disconnected, or too dependent on willpower alone. If your intention is something like, I want to be better, that's too unclear. But how? In what way do you want to be better, and for what purpose? If your intention is only something you say once at the beginning of the week and never return to, it probably won't stay alive. And if your intention is disconnected from your actual life, it may feel inspiring, but not usable. That's why strong intentions need 3 things. 1, they need clarity. 2, they need repetition. And 3, they need a way back to you. Clarity means you know what you're actually intending. Repetition means you revisit it regularly, and a way back means that when you forget, drift, or get off track, you have a simple way to return without shame. Because you will forget. That's not failure. That's just being human. The goal is to not hold the intention perfectly. The goal is to keep coming back. So how do you actually set an intention that sticks? First, start small. Not grand, not lofty intentions, not the kind of intention that sounds amazing but disappears the moment life gets busy. Instead, choose something true and doable. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel? How do I want to move through this season of my life? What quality do I want to bring into my day? Maybe your intention is to move slowly, to be more present. Maybe it's to trust yourself or to create space in your world. Maybe it's simply to soften or stay grounded. Then make it practical. If your intention is to stay grounded, what does that actually look like? Maybe it means putting your feet on the floor before checking your phone in the morning. Maybe it means taking 3 breaths before answering any emails. Maybe it means going outside once a day and just really breathing in and enjoying the beauty of nature. Maybe it means not rushing through transitions in your world, in your life, or from day to day. The more your intention becomes embodied, the more likely it is to stick. And this is true on the mat too. If you set the intention to breathe more deeply during practice, what does that look like when the poses get challenging? If you set the intention to stay kind to yourself, how will you speak to yourself when you wobble, say in a challenging balance posture? That's where the intention becomes real. One of the best ways to keep an intention alive is to give it a home. That might mean writing it down somewhere that you'll see it every day. It might mean tying it to a daily ritual. Maybe saying it out loud before a yoga practice or before bed or first thing in the morning. It might mean setting it as your phone background or bringing it into your journaling or meditation session. The more ways you remind yourself, the easier it is to return. And I think that's one of the reasons intention setting works so well in a yoga or mindfulness practice. It's not just an idea. It becomes a lived experience. You actually feel it in your body. You hear it in your voice or your breath. You remember it when you're tempted to spiral or rush into a posture or to compare to other people in the class. And over time, it becomes less about forcing yourself to change and more about gently guiding yourself back to what you already know. Let's talk about this phrase, what you focus on grows, because this is such an important part of intention. If you focus on lack, you'll feel more lack. If you focus on stress, stress will become louder. If you focus on not being enough, sadly, that story will get stronger. If you focus on your breath, calm, gratitude, progress, or presence, those things begin to expand. That doesn't mean you ignore the hard stuff. It doesn't mean you pretend everything is fine. It means you train your attention to notice what helps you move forward instead of only what puts you down. This is such a powerful practice in yoga too. If you keep focusing on how far you are from the full pose, you may miss the strength, stability, and awareness that are already present. But if you focus on your breath, your foundation, and the sensation of being supported, you begin to feel differently in the pose, and life works the exact same way. What you water grows. What you notice grows. And what you return to grows. So be mindful of what you're feeding. I want to leave you with a really simple practice that you can try today. First, choose one intention, just one. Something like, I intend to move through today with presence. I intend to be kinder to myself. I intend to stay grounded. I intend to breathe before reacting. I intend to notice what's good. Then ask yourself, what is one small action that supports this intention? If your intention is presence, maybe the action is putting your phone down during a meal. If your intention is kindness, maybe it's noticing your inner critic and softening your response. If your intention is grounding, maybe it's stepping outside for 5 minutes. If your intention is breathing before reacting, maybe it's pausing before responding in a stressful moment. Then repeat it. Not perfectly, just repeatedly. Because intentions become stronger through practice, not pressure. So if you've been looking for a way to make intention setting feel more real, more embodied, and more useful in your everyday life, I really hope that this episode gives you a place to begin. For those of you who practice yoga, start on the mat. For those of you who don't, start anywhere. Bring it into your day. Choose what you want to focus on, and remember, what you focus on grows. So I hope you got a lot of value from this episode today. Thank you so much for being here with me. I always am grateful when you tune in and share these episodes with your friends, your family, or anybody you think might benefit from them. And if this kind of work speaks to you, there's always great, gentle ways to go deeper through my classes, memberships, retreat offerings, where we keep practicing these ideas in real life together. And of course, it's always easier to move forward and feel supported when we have a great community. So as always, I am so grateful that you're here. So until next time, keep rocking your wellness. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Rockin' Wellness Podcast. Make sure to visit my website at www.rjowellness.com, where you can subscribe to the show and check out all the show notes. While you're at it, if you found value in this podcast, if you'd simply tell a friend about it, that would help out too. You may choose to join the R.J.O Wellness community to take advantage of the freebies, courses, and coaching that will take your voyage to the next level, or support this podcast with your monthly membership. Until next time, my friends, keep rocking your wellness.